let's go to our number 16 team. Who do you have as the last one, Caleb?
The New Orleans Pelicans. The coming of in, they have Brandon Ingram's extension kicking in. That was kind of obvious. I think everybody knew that they were going to bring him back. Traded away Drew Holiday, got Eric Bledsoe. I don't know how that's going to work, but they brought Steven Adams in as well. How do we feel about Steven Adams fit next to Zion?
I really like it. I think that's going to be one of the most bruising front courts in the league. That's tough. I mean, imagine being a center on the other team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rashawn Holmes said it the other week. He said anytime he plays against Steven Adams, they mark it on the calendar and they make sure they get a good night's rest. He makes sure he eats well before, and he makes sure he ices up right after the game. Why? Because Steven Adams is a bruiser. And putting him next to Tubby Zion, that is going to help him out a lot. I think Zion could really use a guy that is just as strong as him and a guy that can have similar game to him where it's kind of inside and out. It's not really too much of out, but it's more of that inside game, offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, setting hard screens. Those are things that Steven Adams is really good at. It can be slightly redundant.
I think there's going to be stretches where it's kind of like, oh, this ain't going to work. You know what I mean? Like it might be a 2-3 game thing where like, man, this is not going to work. But I think for the most part, their physicality and effort together, it's going to be a scary team to have to play, dude. Because they're going to, especially with Stan Van Gundy, their coaching, like he's going to stress the importance of defense. Like that team is not going to be fun to go up against.
Yeah, defensively, they're going to be tough. I think they're going to be as tough as nails. Also, on the rebounding end, that's going to be probably their biggest strength. I see them getting a ton of rebounds this year, offensive, defensive rebounding. The one issue I will say, and we'll talk about this front court a little bit more, is that spacing. Again, we'll get into that a little bit later. Ingram, they signed him to the max extension. How do you feel about that? Is Ingram a max player to you?
One of those things where New Orleans is kind of a small market, so you kind of have to give the guys what they want to an extent. I think you can make the argument he is a max player. I wouldn't argue against it. Just, I don't know. I feel like that's money they had to spend on a player like him, and they spent it, and I'm not going to argue about it. I think it's fine.
I can see your point. With Brandon Ingram, he is that type of guy that I think is worth a max. But, again, being a small market, he could have stretches where he's not doing max money type of stuff. And that's just what you're going to have to get with those type of guys. With the point guard position, they got Eric Bledsoe and George Hill through the trade with Milwaukee, right? They did lose Drew Holiday. That's probably their biggest loss they've had in the last few years, besides Anthony Davis.
Yeah, aside from the giant one, yeah.
But they still do have Lonzo. So what do you see with those point guards? I mean, Josh Hart, Lonzo, obviously Josh Hart's not really as more of a point guard, but what is Josh Hart? I don't see Josh Hart's fit at all with New Orleans. I really have a hard time seeing him fit anymore in the NBA. He's a guy to me that's like, you're a slasher, but you're not very good at slashing. And you're a decent shooter, but you're not a good shooter. And you're not big enough to guard shooting guards, but you're not a good enough a playmaker to play point guard. So he's just kind of a guy that does nothing good, really.
Imagine him as like a very, very, very poor man's Evan Turner, right? Like he does everything decent, but like he's not good to great at any one thing. And it's kind of like he has to find the right team that kind of takes his play to the next level just by fit and everything. It's definitely not New Orleans anymore. I don't really know where it is, but hopefully he can find that one day and excel in it because it's not going to happen in New Orleans. I think his time there is pretty much done.
What do you think about Lonzo?
I think they started Lonzo and Bledsoe in the backcourt together last night in their first preseason game. And that I'm telling you, if people are concerned about Steven Adams and Zion fitting together, Bledsoe and Lonzo is like the worst possible fit. I think Lonzo's spot now in the NBA is going to be that sixth man, like that backup point guard role. Good defender. He shot 37% from deep last year, but I don't know how much you can bank on that moving forward. I don't know. He can't shoot from the free throw line. We know this. And that's what scares me about his three-point shot is like decent free throw shooters can become decent three-point shooters, you know what I mean? But like if you're bad at free throws, that makes me wonder how consistent we can bank on your three-point shooting. And he's a really good passer. We know this. Like Did you watch the Timberwolves game last year? Probably not, but you saw the highlights on Twitter where it was like 2 straight plays. Lonzo caught the inbound pass and threw a lob to Zion on the other end. Really good passer. Like he could be really fun with Zion, but I don't know. I don't think they bring him back after this year. I think this is his
That's
last
so
year.
overhyped to me. Like the Zion Lonzo experiences, it didn't work out. It just didn't. And Lonzo's not the guy. Look at it. I saw a good tweet about a few weeks ago, and again, I'm sure I'm going to hear a lot of people disagree on this, but look at that draft class. Look at where Fox is. Look where Bam is. Look at where Donovan Mitchell is. Look where Jason Tatum is, and look where Lonzo is. And to me, that's all about caring and really putting effort in the game. I don't think Lonzo.
I know. I agree with that.
I think once Lonzo got to the NBA, he has this nonchalant, I don't give a f attitude, right? And I liked it in college because
Yeah.
it very fit his game. It fit his game well. But that shit doesn't fly in the NBA. You have to really
Mm-hmm.
pick it up and stop trying to be the cool guy. Stop trying to not be. I'm not gonna get low because I don't want to look like I'm not trying to play. Like, and again, this sounds stupid because it's like, why would he be trying to be cool? Like, what? That doesn't even make sense. Bro, watch Lonzo. His game is so nonchalant that it's like
It
you
is.
don't try. You just don't. Like, and I get part of that comes with your style of your game.
Dude, if he tried, like if he really put together like all out effort, he could be like a 10 assists, 3 steal per game type player. But he just it's like he'll have those lapses where it's like, I don't know. Like I just had a 14 assists, like 5 steal night, but then he'll have like 10, 20 game stretches where it's like you don't see anything near that.
Yeah, he'll be missing in games. And people were blaming Alvin Gentry last year for not
Yeah,
playing
it's
Lonzo.
not his fault.
But they did the same thing with Luke Wall in LA. And okay, that's arguably, yeah, Luke's a terrible coach. Go ahead, Lonzo's super young. Lonzo has done nothing in New Orleans to prove that he deserves minutes. And especially when you have Drew Holiday, who can play point guard too. Yeah, he plays more of the off-ball guard, but he's just as good as a point guard, if not better than Lonzo. I don't know. Lonzo's a good passer, but that's not
Okay.
enough anymore. This is not the
To,
1980s.
to go back on what you said, it feels like Lonzo cares. He doesn't really put his all effort or care into basketball, right? Lonzo has 92 made free throws in his career. He has 63 songs on Spotify. And I know people are gonna say, "Kib, that's a stupid Twitter stat." Like, sure it is, but the time he spends making music, he could possibly spend maybe practicing free throws or something. He only shoots what? I think it's like 43% from the free throw line. It's bad.
Don't be
Let me
that
see.
guy, Caleb.
48.7%. Okay.
Please
I'm
don't be that guy, Caleb.
I'm a huge Lonzo fan, but listen, the effort he brings to basketball, he could be so special if he would focus more on it. Like I said, he'll have those games where it's like 14 assists, 5 steals, and people are like, damn, like he's a really good point guard. Then it's like 10, 15 game stretches where it's like kind of waiting on him to go back to that. You know what I mean?
Well, I see a lot of players like that, like Jaleel Okafor, right? That's another guy that he just didn't care about playing defense, so he never cared to really become a better defender. And we talked about this on our earlier podcast. You're never going to naturally become a good defender, right? You have to really, really
Yeah.
just get.
Really work on it.
You really got to work on it, and even with that, you're not going to get much of growth. But with Lonzo, with guys like Marvin Bagley, these are guys where, again, the easy cop out answers, well, they're not focused because they do this on the outside. And to me, I'm like, I keep going back to the Kings, but Fox is a gamer. All he does is play video games.
And look at him. He can't hit a 3-pointer to save his life. Focus more on the 3-point shooting.
No, moving on. Let's go to our buy or sell. First up, we're going to Zion Williamson.
Show that I'm a basketball player. I do whatever the team needs me to do, offense or defense, no matter what it is, to win. And I'm just a competitor. And I'm healthy and competing. I'm just a different kind of player. And I think that's the player everyone fell in love with.
My question to you, Zion is going to have a breakout year finally this season. Buy or sell?
Bye. I think there was a thing that he dropped some body fat, slimmed up his body. He's not going to have any minutes restrictions heading into next year. He's going to basically be let loose, and I'm kind of excited to see how that happens. I'm going bye.
I'm going to agree with you and go, psych, I'm going sell. And this might be a shocking answer because the consensus is, yeah, Zion's going to have a much better year. He was hurt last year, blah, blah, blah. Here's my thing. One, Stan Van Gundy. Is he the right coach? We don't know. We'll find out. And Caleb's saying no already.
I'm saying no, but he's going to improve defensively, but I don't think he's the right guy in modern NBA.
Okay, perfect. Then that goes perfect with my my intention of what I'm trying to say. So first, let's just say Stan Van Gundy's not the right coach. That's out the way. We'll see how much that helps. Second, again, the point guard position is so weak. Lonzo Ball is not helping. He's not helping Zion out in any way.
Dude, Eric Bledsoe.
And Eric Bledsoe's washed. Bledsoe is not the same player he was 2 years ago, much less 5 years ago. He's not.
Let me ask you a question. Let's just say Milwaukee keeps Eric Bledsoe and they don't make the move for Drew Holiday. Do you think Giannis accepts the contract extension? I don't think he does. If Eric Bledsoe's there and they don't make any sort of change, I do not think he stays there.
Oof. I think he does. And the reason why
You're wrong.
The reason why I say that, Caleb, before you yelled at me, Giannis said that the number one player he wanted was who? The guy that went to Atlanta, Bogdan Bogdanovic. He didn't get him. He couldn't get – we talked about this. You can't get Bogdan Bogdanovic to come to the freaking Milwaukee Bucks. How do you expect to get a superstar? You can't get a guy that sucks.
I'll go.
How much are they paying?
How much would it cost for you to go to Milwaukee to play basketball?
Probably free restaurant food for life. That's really all I need.
You give me like $20 a game and I'll do it. I'll show up.
Honestly, give me the per diem. Have you seen the players' per diem?
No, what do they do, like the interviews and stuff?
No, per diem is this. Per diem.
I think you said players' podium. I was like, well, yeah, you do interviews there.
No, I said per diem.
Oh.
Per diem. Players get paid like before a road trip, right? They get this check, and it's like a few $1,000s, and they get to use it for the road trip. And then however much they want, it's cash. Actually, it's not even a check. It's an envelope.
What? They get that?
They might get it before every road trip. Every road trip. I don't know how much it is. It's a lot of money. Like, it's to the point where it covers breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it's like not like IHOP breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know what I mean? It's like Roots Chris. And I mean, you probably wouldn't know that. You eat cheese. So moving on. Go to our guy, Steven Adams in New Orleans.
He's a good dude, man. Pretty straight up. Got a powerful voice. He's about yay high. I don't know if you can see my hand. Yay high. I mean, he's not very big, but bloody powerful dude, man. Bloody tells you off. Yeah. So no, good dude, man.
That's Steven Adams calling his coach a short guy, and obviously saying that his coach is a good guy, and he's got a powerful voice. So, with that being said, we talked about it a little bit. I kind of think I know where you're going to go on this. Buy or sell, Stan is the right coach for that team.
Hold. I'm going hold because I feel like people's their definition of good fit, it's a little bit different. Like a good fit for me would be he improves them on one side of the ball, which defensively he's really going to improve them. But offensively, I don't know. And how old he is with how young of a team it is, not quite sure how that's going to work. So if I had to pick one, like Amir's telling me to do, I'm going to go with buy.
Wow. That's completely the opposite of what you were shaking your
Well,
head.
like I said, I listed my definition of what I think a good fit would be. It'd be improving them on one side of the ball at the very least. And defensively, he will improve them. We'll just see how it fits.
I'm going to go sell just because what you said earlier, older coach. It's a guy that hasn't really coached in the league in, a decade. It's kind of reminds me of picking up a guy like Tom Thibodeau. And I don't know. I mean, Tom Thibodeau, we talked about him in New York, how he's been freaking losing preseason games with the starters in playing 35 minutes.
They're playing regular season minutes, dude.
They're playing against the Charlotte Hornets D team. And the Hornets have like all these NBA caliber players on this team since their roster stacked. And Tom Thibodeau is playing the starters in a preseason game. Anyways, my point is that's just bad coaching. I don't know if Stan Van Gundy is the right coach. The one thing I will say about Stan, and the one positive, is the Dwight Howard situation. If he can get Zion to play how Dwight played in Orlando, and build him into that one block down low and get shooters all around. I'm excited for that. But does that fit in our modern NBA?
No.
Well, we'll find out. Last one. Let's go to Tubby Zion Williamson.
Like y'all said, man, Steven is strong. Like, I thought I was strong, but seeing it up close, like on the same team now, man, and it's crazy. Like, Steven is really strong, and he's a great basketball player.
That's Zion Williamson talking about Steven Adams and how strong he is. We talked about that earlier, Caleb. And we also talked about this earlier, but I did want to get a final answer from you. Buy or sell, Adams and Zion are a top 3 big man duo in the league today.
Quick, before I answer, name me some big men duos.
All right. Cody Zeller and Bismack Biyombo.
Well, they're better than that. I don't know, because here's the thing with the modern NBA, like, let's just say Boston's is Tatum and Thompson, right? But, like, do you really consider Tatum to be a big? You know what I mean? Like, he's more like a wing. He plays like a guard. Like, it's not really fair. So, just with how the league is now, I would go out on a limb and say, yes, they are, without looking into it too much. I'm going to buy that they are, because those are more traditional, big-oriented. You know what I mean? I would say buy that they're a top 3 big men duo.
I agree with you. I'm going to go buy. The one thing I will say, though, is are they the best 2 as far as a 4 and a 5? That's where I'm like, no. I mean, again, look at teams around the league, right? We talked about some big men earlier, but we talk about these big men a lot. Nikola Jokic. Jokic plays next to Paul Millsap, who is not, I mean, he is a power forward. I guess you could put him up there, but that's not a guy that they're really focusing on. And maybe that's how the NBA is today. I think a lot of it has to do with, is the 4 position a dead position? And that's an argument for another day. But look at Philadelphia. I mean, their 4 is Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is a small forward. Boston has Jason Tatum pretty much at the 4. The Kings have Marvin Bagley that's maybe a 4 next to Rashawn Holmes. But even with that, Dave Yeager, much better coach than Luke Walton, put Harrison Barnes at the 4 next to Marvin Bagley. So a lot of what I'm seeing now is small forwards playing the 4. I don't know if in today's NBA those 2 are the best power forward, center, big man duo in the league. I'm going to sell on that. If you're talking about best big man duo, I'll buy, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's fair. Like, it's just the way the NBA is going. Like you brought up with the power forward. Is it a dead position? You could argue yes, man. Like, it's a wing-oriented league, and I feel like teams, like, we could put 3 wings out there, the 2, the 3, and the 4. And you know what I mean? I feel like that's just what teams are doing. They're not really caring much about centers. Lakers are probably going to – because Anthony Davis is very adamant that he needs to be a power forward. What are we saying, Anthony Davis, Montrezl Harrell? That's probably another top 3 duo.
That has to be number 1, right?
That would have to be number 1. But, like, other than that –
well, let's go over real quick. Just real quick. The Clippers, they have –
no, we can move on.
Zubac and Marcus. Yeah, okay. Houston, DeMarcus and –
let's just say DeMarcus and Christian
PJ
Wood.
Tucker. DeMarcus and PJ, right? That's
we'll say that.
But
again –
that's not no. I would say no. The Thunder, I don't know. Who the hell is playing for the Thunder starting lineup?
Jesus, dude, I have no clue.
We did their season preview, and I already forgot. Sorry, Thunder fans. All 500 of you that listen, I didn't know that there were 500 of you even out there. So.
I know. We're very proud of you. Good job.
That's not a diss. Please don't boycott our podcast.
Hey, we're proud of you guys.
Utah, like Rudy Gobert and Boyan, maybe.
But then again, is he really a power forward? Did they just – it's like teams have abandoned the 4.
Dallas, Porzingis, and Dwight Powell.
That's probably a top 5 big man duo because there's not really that many big man duos.
That just tells you, and I remember the times when – do you remember when the Warriors got Andrew Bogut and we heard about at first the first year when they had David Lee and Andrew Bogut and they called them the Twin Towers?
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I mean. Yeah. The NBA has changed so much. Like I remember I used to want the Kings to draft somebody next to DeMarcus so bad, and every year we would, and it would.
Yeah, Thomas Robinson, dude. We know your old tweets. You guys should see Amir's old tweets. He loved Thomas Robinson. Oh, did he like Thomas Rowan? You know what? Let's look one up real quick. We're just gonna read one for good.
No, we're
for
not.
good,
We're moving on.
for
That's
good
it.